David.
I'm Julie.
So now we're going to do the review portion of Arboretum. And if you haven't had a chance yet, please check out our how to play and play through combo video.
Yep.
So this is part of our project to do videos on the top 100 family games as ranked by Board Game Geek users. And as of November 2019, Arboretum is in the top 21 through 40, which you see a sample behind us. So let's take a look at the overview here.
Alrighty, here you go. It's definitely a family game, 2 to 4 players, running time about 30 minutes, ages 8 and up. It's a hand management, set collection, tile placement game, and it's published by Renegade Game Studios.
Yeah, so we got a lot of their games. We've done Clank, which you might want to check that out. That's in the top 10 family games.
That's
and it's
a great
also
game.
In a lot of other lists as well.
Right.
So let's give a little bit of context here. Why is the tile laying, even though it's a card game? Well, that's because you'll see that you'll be placing trees in your arboretum. And for instance, I would count from here to here. That'd be worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points at the end of the game. Plus bonus if you have the same species in a line, so it'd be another 5 points. That'd be 10, and if I start with a 1, that'd be worth 11 points. I could have a different suit in between, like this. Okay. Geez.
That would really mess you up, huh?
That would mess me up. But if it was like this, I'd still get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. But I wouldn't get the bonus for having the same species.
Okay.
And I would still get the bonus for having the 1 at the beginning. So this would only be worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points.
Oh.
And I could then go from here to here. That'd be worth 2 to 4. That'd be worth 2 points.
Okay.
You know, I could have it go like from here to here, 1 through 5. That would be worth 1, 2, 3, 4 points. And began with a 1. That'd be worth 5.
Okay.
Now, if I ended with an 8, again, if it was a situation like this, 2, 4, 8, it would be worth 3 points. Don't have 4 of a kind, so I don't get the bonus for that, 4 of the same species.
Right.
I do get bonus 2 points if it ends in an 8, so that'd be worth 5 points. But here's the problem with the game. At the end of the game, you reveal your hands that you've kept back. You'll be keeping back 7 cards. So Julie kept back jacarandas that were worth 8 points, and I kept back 5. She would have the right to score any jacarandas in her arboretum, and I couldn't. So this would be worth 0 for me if she kept back more cards. So that's part of the tension in this game, is laying down your cards to create the best scoring situations, but then keeping back cards so that you have the most of that suit so you can score your great arboretum,
Right.
or to deny your opponent the ability to score their arboretum.
Right.
So again, I just wanted to give some context there so you understand our ratings, our rankings, because we come up with our lists of positive, negatives, and neutrals separately. And so Julie will share hers first right now.
All right. I think the tree art is beautiful. I mean, it really feels like you can just touch them, feel the trees in your little hands. It's a quick game, which I like. It's also very challenging. My brain hurts after playing. There is quite a bit of luck involved because you don't know what cards you're going to pick if you pick blindly, and you also don't know what the other person has, so you might be holding out on something thinking, "Ooh, I'm going to get him," and then in turn they get you.
Yeah, but you do know that you will draw all the cards in the game. Just will you draw them in the order that you need them to be in.
True. And
So that's why it's a neutral for you, because all card games have luck,
True.
but it's not so lucky that you
No.
think it's a negative.
No.
Yeah.
And for me, I did put a negative of the scoring. It can be very difficult for me to understand. And thank goodness I have such a sweet and understanding husband who will do the scoring for me.
But you did know enough, because now this is your 5th or 6th time playing.
Yeah, but I still had to ask you if I could do certain things.
Right, but
so-
you're being more strategic about it. So a game like this, Julie needs more repetitions to get the strategy down.
I
and
still don't know
understand
how to
the
score it
scoring.
very well, though.
Right, but you're getting better.
I'm getting
at the
better,
game.
but I'm
Okay.
not still. But anywho, that's why I gave it a negative, and that's just for me personally.
Right.
Other people might think, "Oh, piece of cake, it's a plus for me."
Right.
So that's good too if you can do it real fast.
All right, so let's see my rankings.
All right.
My ratings, I should say. So it's challenging strategy and quick playing. So yeah, the tension. You'll see this in the playthrough. The decisions that we make. What card do I have to get rid of? Because you always have to play a card and discard a card. So the tension is, okay, if I get rid of this, it's going to help my opponents. or do I hold it back in order to deny them scoring? So you always have that tension.
Right.
So that goes to my next point of tough decisions as to, do I play this high card to get something in the sequence to score more points, or do I have to hold it back in order to make sure that I can score it so I have enough points at the end when I reveal my hand?
Right.
And so that's where the tense player interaction comes in, as I mentioned, is going for to deny players the opportunity to score or to make sure that you can score things.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it definitely has gifted education connections. So this is something I talk about in the reviews. I would play this with my kids who have been identified in the logical mathematical area and the visual spatial area, but for sure in the logical mathematical area to keep their skills up. Because one thing that happens with students that are identified gifted, Dr. Lohman, who manages, at least he used to, I don't know if he still does, I have to look that up. He manages the cognitive abilities test. He mentioned at a conference I went to that if you don't challenge students that are identified gifted, they regress to the mean. In other words, they lose their giftedness.
Really?
Unless they're like super gifted, like the top 1% of the 1% of
Like
the 1%.
Doogie Howser?
Yeah, Doogie Howser people, they won't lose their giftedness.
Sheldon Cooper, he wouldn't.
Right, he wouldn't.
Yep.
But people who are in the top 3%, they can regress to the mean if they don't keep their skills up.
Wow.
In other words, they're not the super gifted, they're
Right.
gifted. There's different levels of giftedness.
Wow.
So for children that are gifted logically and mathematically, this is perfect game for them. And I would have used this when I did pull out gate, because I also would have used it for the kids who are not identified in that area to build up their skills in that area.
Oh, that's nice.
And so for me, it would have been interesting to see how those kids did if they would have been more competitive than the other kids, and I think they
Sure.
would have been. So I do recommend this for those who do pull out gate or who have a whole self-contained class, that this would be a great game for your kids to play to develop mathematical, logical reasoning. I mean, I'm impressed
Interesting.
with the skills that you have to use to play this game.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to, so the neutral is a competitiveness issue. So for Julie, a game like this, she's going to lose a lot at first because it requires a lot of repetitions, a lot of thinking ahead and counting cards. So a younger person, even though, what's the age level? Let's see again.
I don't remember. I think 12?
An 8-year-old likely will be
Yeah.
crushed by an adult in this game. So unless they're really
Gifted?
they won't do well against adults likely.
No.
So yeah, you can play with an 8-year-old, okay? Because you're sequencing things, you're laying down, and you just might have to make sure that they're not messing up in their sequencing, that don't lay something out of order. I mean, again, you can put species like you saw me do. You don't have to have the same species in your sequence, but it should go from least to greatest if you want to score points. So again, a younger person or someone who's isn't the best at counting cards or logical mathematical thinking won't do as well as someone else.
Yeah.
So it's just like with chess, though. Someone who's really good at chess is going to be someone who's not.
Yeah.
Even though there's a certain amount of luck to this, there's not enough luck in this game for a younger player or for someone who's not good in those, who's not as adept at those areas to make up for it.
Yeah.
So there's not enough luck in here for someone to say, oh, I got lucky and I can beat you.
Right. No, I
Okay?
agree.
So if you play the odds, you likely will play somebody, you will beat somebody who's just younger
Yeah.
and not as good in those areas.
Yeah.
So that's where it's a neutral for me going into it, okay? I don't know what the catch-up mechanic could be for somebody who's not for a younger player. If I were to play this as an
I don't
8-year-old,
know.
I don't know what the catch-up mechanic could be for them.
I have no idea. For me, they'd probably be very competitive with me, so.
They might be, but then there might be some people, I could see some people playing this game because it is so mathematical, be like, I don't get it, I don't want to play it.
Yeah.
They play it once and says, not for me.
That's kind of how I was the first time I
Okay.
played. Remember, I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
ever want to play this again.
To give you a story with I think I forget his last name, is it Waller or Walker from Out of the Box when I used to do consulting for him.
Yeah.
I was at their booth, it was either at Gen Con, I was at Gen Con, and he showed 7, 8, 9 to a couple.
Oh, jeez.
And if you know anything about that game, you got to count backwards and stuff like that. And
Don't like that game.
one of the people playing could not get it, and I took my time to explain it to that person. And then he said, it wasn't even worth it. That person's probably not going to buy it anyway.
Oh.
It's interesting. He did make a point that was it worth expending the effort to convince them to buy a game that they couldn't get and probably didn't like anyway.
True.
But the teacher of me came out of me
yeah.
and tried to have them have the best experience. But when you're doing tons of demos, at some point you got to decide
it's not worth it.
Is it worth expending the
Yeah,
effort
yeah.
to explain a game that's so mathematical to somebody
That
that
they're
just,
not gonna
that-
even-
to someone that you could tell that they were turned off by.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think this is a game that's in that category.
I can see that.
That's more mathematical. That someone who doesn't get it or who doesn't want to get it could be turned off by it.
Yeah, the first time we played this, I was
Oh, yeah. You
so
didn't like it at
disheartened.
all.
I was like, I do not like this game. And then you told me, we're going to have to do this for the top 100. I was like, seriously?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
So you had perseverance and you stuck with it.
Well, you gave me no choice. I had to because
Well-
you didn't want me to look stupid on camera.
Well, that's what you said. I didn't
That's
say
what
that
I
to
said.
you. Okay. So
That's what I
the point is
said,
you like it better now. You've won twice in a row. It's because you figured out one of the ways to win is just deny people points.
Yeah, I do like it. I like it better, but it would not be my go-to game.
So now that I think about it, could a younger person figure that out? Is that you just basically deny the other player points?
If they were super smart, they would.
Maybe with enough repetitions, but then with
Mm-hmm.
that younger player or that person that's not so great with logical mathematical reason, would they have the perseverance to stick it out to figure that out?
I don't know. I
So,
don't know.
and one thing we don't know either is how does this play with 3 or 4 players?
Oh, that's right. We've only
it'd
played
be-
with the two of us.
It'll be interesting to see how it changes.
I bet
But
it
right
changes
now,
a
let's
lot.
see our rating
Okay.
using the Board Game Geek rating 1
I have
through
a
10.
feeling you did it better than I did.
Well,
Way better than I did.
Well, for me, I give it an 8
Oh.
because I see the educational connections with this.
Mm-hmm.
If I was still selling games at gifted conferences, I used to do that. And I do teach a class through Touro University on how to use games to meet the needs of gifted students.
Mm-hmm.
I do recommend this game for teachers.
You've told your
Just-
students?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say this is a game you should get for your logical, mathematical kids, just like SET.
Oh, yeah.
Which develops pattern thinking. That's more for visual spatial. This one, though, this is really, really good. That's why I give it an 8, because I could see using this in the classroom.
You see more on the educational side.
Yeah.
And I gave it a 6 because it makes my brain hurt. I'm not lying. When we got done playing the playthrough and how to play, I was just like, my brain hurts. Literally,
Yeah.
it hurts. I do like it a little bit more than the first time we played it, but I
Well,
would
it's
not
okay. I think it's our
suggest
5th
it.
or 6th time playing now, but you're doing better now.
I'm doing better, but it's not something I would suggest. If David's like, hey, we don't want to play, this would not be one of my go-to
Yeah,
games.
well, I would definitely wouldn't suggest this if you were tired.
No, oh, gosh, no.
Yeah,
And I am on the brink of very tired right now.
Yeah. Again, if sellers haven't seen our reviews before, Julie has a cognitive disability brought on by having cancer twice and all the meds and surgeries she's had.
Yeah, a lot of anesthesia.
So, as she says, she has a mushy brain. So
I do have a mushy brain. It's okay.
So I know that we would have to play this game when she's just very alert,
After I've had 2 cups of coffee,
and again, and when she's in the mood.
and I have to
Okay.
be in the mood.
But for me, if there's certain people I'd play this game with, and be like, okay, you ready for a challenge?
I could
And-
see you playing this with David Jr. He would probably
yeah,
give you a
I
run
think
for
he-
your money.
I think he would like this game.
He would give you a run for your money. Yep.
So anyway, so this again, here's the 1 through 10 list. So I gave it an 8, Julie gave it a 6.
Yep.
So please check out our playthrough on how to play
It's a combo video.
combo video.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is our review of Arboretum.